Hey, it's me, Vicky Marie. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are in this crazy world we're living in. Now, I'm sorry to bring you a very exceptionally distressing case. So I just want to let you know this is a case deals with the death of three children. Um, these children: 5-year-old Olivia, 8-year-old Evelyn, and 9-year-old Paityn Decker. These three girls, they've been killed by the person they should have been able to trust the most, or one of the people that they should have been able to trust the most in this world. Their own father, Travis. Travis is thought to have killed these three girls, and now there's a huge manhunt out for Travis. So I've been meaning to, talk about this because I don't like to talk about children's cases, but this is so important that this man is found because he's a danger to everyone. If he would do this to his own three children, he's a danger. It reminds me a little bit of sort of Chris Watts, because I think all of us, we cannot get our head around, can we, that somebody could do that to children, anybody's children, but least of all, their own children. But Travis is said to have mental health issues. Even his ex-partner, Whitney, has said that he was more a broken man than a murderous man. But it hasn't changed the result, has it, for these three angels? Just terrible. So let's just have a look at a video of them. That the mother, Whitney, has released this video just to, I suppose, give them. It's important that we see them as people, not just a case. These three girls had a life, and they had a more life in front of them, and it was taken away from them in the cruelest way you can imagine, I think, by their own father. And you cannot imagine the terror that these girls must have gone through. Again, this is what reminds me of Chris Watts so much. For a child to have to look to the person that they, look at the person that they thought would protect them, would love them, one of the people that should love them most, protect them, keep them safe, and know that they're going to do something bad to them. It's just foul, isn't it?
Make room for okay. Decker. Nice.
You can't stop halfway, Abby.
There we go, Abby. Nice. Olivia. Okay, bringing it down. Oh, bringing it up. Bringing it down. Abby, can you check to make sure I'm doing the video right? Oh, okay. Abby's next. Paityn, can you make sure the video's on? Please check. Right, can you make sure? Yes. Whoa.
Kind of, but you were really close.
I'm glad the mother's released that video. It's such a beautiful video. The oldest girl, of course, it's harder for her to do the limbo because she's the tallest. But, to see the girls vibrant, happy, I hope they were happy. The short life that they had, I hope it was a happy life. Just unbelievable, isn't it, that their own father could do this to them? So let's just have a look at what happened, the background to it. Now, as I say, this man, Travis Decker, he's on the run. Or is he? I have a feeling that Travis may have done something to himself. But it's just a question of if they can find him or not. I'm not sure that Travis is on the run. Has he done something to himself? But anyway, time will tell. Sooner or later, he'll be found one way or the other. But he is a danger to himself, but he's also a danger to other people. As I say, if he could do that to his own children, he could do anything to anyone really if he was cornered, couldn't he? So let's get a little bit of background to the case. Now this is how, now you see, he looks sort of different. What I found is every photo that I've seen of him, I think he's got a very generic look about him. He's not a distinctive, is he, in any way? Though apparently he's got a ponytail, or he had a ponytail. But of course, he could easily have cut that off. He could have shaved off his moustache. You can't hide your tattoos, I suppose, but he could be wearing a long shirt. I think he's a difficult one to find because there have already been some reported sightings that now the police are saying probably weren't him. But it looks like probably a million other men, really, doesn't he? He's not, he doesn't stand out in any way, shape or form. He's a relatively good looking guy, he looks fit, so he was previously in the armed forces, and it's said that he has been trained, to spend time, that he could spend time like in this sort of Rambo way in the woods, etc. That he's a survivalist. He knows how to look after himself. So, it's a difficult question, difficult scenario for the police, isn't it? And how distressing for the responders who found those 3 girls deceased. My heart goes out to them as well, because that will have been just awful. So a missed drop-off and tragedy at a campground. How a manhunt for a father accused of killing his 3 daughters is unfolding. Of course, it is still alleged, I suppose, at the moment. So the last time Whitney Decker saw her 3 daughters, she gave them each a hug and kiss goodbye, not realizing it would be the last time she saw them alive. And the sisters, 5-year-old Olivia, 8-year-old Evelyn, and 9-year-old Paityn, were found suffocated. So be prepared, because it's horrible. Suffocated to death at an abandoned campsite in Washington State on Monday, police said. So we're now nearly a week exactly to the day, because it's Sunday at the moment, sparking an intense manhunt for their father. So Whitney, the mother, my heart goes out to her. Honestly, my prayers go out to her. Just losing all 3 of your daughters, just like that, and suddenly you have no family, you have no children, and knowing you've handed them over, because people, I think Travis, he was like a ticking time bomb, but wasn't picked up on properly. So he'd handed the girls over to Decker for their regular scheduled custody visit on May the 30th, the Friday before the devastating discovery. So he was scheduled to have the children every second weekend. So though the couple had been divorced for several years, they maintained communication as co-parents and friends, her attorney, Ariana Kozart, told CNN. "We'll see you at 8, he last told Whitney. Whitney noticed he was quieter than usual, but the exchange took place without problems, and she didn't think much of it until the sun slipped behind the hills, dusk spilling across the sky, and the girls still weren't home." Imagine that sinking feeling, thinking everything would be going through your head. Oh, the car might have broken down, or there might have been an accident, a blah de blah de blah. You'd go through all these scenarios, but ultimately you'd be thinking, well, why hasn't he just messaged to say why he's going to be late? So he wasn't supposed to keep his daughters out after 8 p.m. and their custody plan specified no overnight visits. Whitney told the Wenatchee police when she reported the girls missing. His phone was going straight to voicemail. The mother appeared to have been crying when she arrived at the police station, police said, telling them that Decker has never failed to return the kids and typically lets her know when he is running late, according to a police affidavit filed in the Chelan County Superior Court. Whitney told police that while he had a good relationship with his daughters and they enjoyed their time together, she believed he was experiencing mental health issues. But he never displayed any sort of red flags to Whitney, Cozart said. After speaking with Whitney, police checked the hotels and motels in Wenatchee, as well as the camping roster at the state park and then the wider area. Decker's name was not listed anywhere. Look at these three. Oh my God. Anyway, I just want to show you the Google map. So this is where we're talking about, and this is where the girls were eventually found. And it's just near the border to Canada. So there was some talk that he might have been planning to go to Canada because he'd been searching before this horrible thing happened. He had been searching how to live in Canada, etc. So he had been searching those things on Google. Now, whether he was thinking of taking the children over there to Canada, I don't know. And then maybe he just thought, well, I don't know. What did he think? I cannot conceive of killing your children. What is that? Just so out of spite, because they're not with you, or you're thinking maybe he was feeling like unaliving himself. And he's thinking, oh, well, when he goes, he'll get, kill the children so that they'll meet him on the other side. I mean, is that the sort of thought that was going through his head? How dare he do that to his children? So he doesn't love his children, because if he loved his children, he'd want them to have a full and happy life, and he would have supported them in it. And, I know they're talking about mental health. I know mental health is an issue, but come on, how many people suffer from mental health? They do not murder their 3 children. So, I'm sort of running a bit sort of fed up of this sort of excuse of mental health, to be honest, because, I suppose mental health takes over you and maybe you don't know what you're doing, but this is beyond me, and I'm sure it's beyond all you too. How could you? You know what he did? So they had zip ties on their wrists, these little girls, and a bag over their head. They were suffocated, it's thought, but their wrists were bound with zip ties. Do you imagine how terrified they were when their dad was doing that to them? That's what I can't forgive him for. He may have had mental health issues and as I say, maybe he wanted to unalive himself. But to put your children through terror like that, I cannot get my head around it. I'm sorry, I just can't, and I can't feel any sympathy for him whatsoever. Don't care what his mental health issues were. Don't care if he had PTSD. Don't care if he was ADHD. I don't care if he had autism or whatever he had. He's just evil to me to do that. To me, that's evil. That's not about mental health issues. People struggle with mental health issues day in, day out, and they do not kill their children. So the Wenatchee Police Department requested the Washington State Patrol issue an Amber Alert the day before the girls went missing. But because there was no current evidence, the girls were at risk of serious injury or death. An alert was not issued. So an Amber Alert wasn't issued. And what that means is, it may not have changed anything, but of course, an Amber Alert means that the police can, everybody's alerted all over the sort of America. He may have been found with the children before he did what he did. Anyway, the following day, when Decker and the girls did not show up to a running event scheduled at the park, police provided more information to the Washington State Patrol. It's really irritating because, when they establish their time of death, if it's established that maybe they could have been saved, oh my God. Anyway, then the community's help was sought in locating Olivia, Evelyn, and Paityn. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Paityn. Their disappearance kicked off an intensive search that grew as friends, family, and volunteers came out to look for the girls. Then on Monday, the father's pickup truck was found unoccupied at a Chelan County campground. Now, this is what makes me wonder if he has unalived himself somewhere, because it said there were 2 bloody handprints on the tailgate. But as far as I know, the girls were suffocated. So whose is that blood? Is it his? Has he done something to her? Why has he not been found locally then? But of course, as we know, it's difficult to find a body. Sometimes he could be around there somewhere. The girls' bodies were around 75 yards away down a small embankment. So just thrown them down an embankment or place them there. Anyway, so authorities are now searching by land and air for Travis Decker, and he's wanted for 3 counts each of murder and kidnapping across the country, sweeping through local forests and wilderness areas, according to the Chelan County Sheriff's Office. And Washington Governor Bob Ferguson on Saturday announced he's tapping emergency funds and ordering Washington National Guard resources to support the multi-agency search for Travis Decker, warning area residents to keep their doors and windows locked and to avoid restricted areas. It's a very scary, this man is desperate. As I say, look at what he's done. He's not going to think twice about murdering somebody else, is he? If he, I don't think he is going to do anything like that, though. I think this man, I don't know. I think he may have already removed himself from this world. This sort of part of me hopes he has. I'm sorry about that if it offends anyone, but then, I mean, what sort of justice is going to be taken for these girls? You could say justice for Olivia, Evelyn, and Paityn, but there can't be, can there? So maybe it'd be just as well if he has removed himself from this planet. Or would it be better that he's made to face up to what he's done? And I don't know if there's a death penalty there, but or just serve the rest of his miserable life in prison. Don't know. There is no good answer, is there, in this case? Just awful. So a portrait of Travis Decker is emerging. He's an army veteran, a National Guardsman, experiencing homelessness, skilled in wilderness survival, an involved father, so supposedly loved his children, and according to his ex-wife, a man struggling with mental health issues. She has now taken out an order so that he can't approach. But the thing is, if he was going to try to approach her, I don't think an order would stop him. Do you know what I mean? I don't think, if he is looking for her to maybe take her as well, it won't matter how many, the thing is, she's got to be so careful whether she's got this order or not. I mean, she's got to make sure she's never alone. And in fact, she's got to make sure she's never where he would expect her to be. So, nestled in the foothills of the Cascade Range, Wenatchee lies between Seattle and Spokane, where rugged peaks give way to rolling orchards and breathtaking views of the Columbia River as it winds through the valley. A scenic view now punctured by tragedy. The sisters were found around 30 minutes northwest in the Wenatchee River Ranger District, a remote mountainous region of Washington that encompasses approximately 696 acres. The girls had plastic bags over their heads and their wrists were zip-tied, according to police. Just literally cannot get my head around it. The discovery of their bodies triggered a closure of the encampments, an area popular for backcountry hiking and camping, as law enforcement combs the forest for any signs of the tattooed army veteran. Authorities have released photos and a video clip of Travis from the days before his custody visit with the girls. He was last seen wearing a light-coloured shirt and dark shorts, and he had his dark hair pulled back into a ponytail. Decker is well versed in wilderness survival and capable of spending days or even weeks in the wilderness on his own and with very little equipment, which will likely make the search more difficult, the sheriff's office said. The former military member also has extensive tactical training, according to the US Marshals, which is offering a reward of up to $20,000 for him. It's not much, that, is it, for 3 little girls that were murdered? $20,000 doesn't seem like a lot to me. But anyway, thing is, you shouldn't need a reward to give information in a case like this. But of course, it does work. Money talks, doesn't it? Just seems pretty pathetic amount to me for these 3 girls' lives. Anyway, this is doorbell footage just a couple of days before. Let's have a look at that. There'll be an advert, probably first, I don't know.
Doorbell camera video shows Travis Decker, the father suspected of killing his 3 young daughters, days before they were reported missing. The Chelan County Sheriff's Office released the footage as part of their search for Decker, a 32-year-old former Army soldier who they say is well-versed in wilderness survival. Police say they believe this is the most recent image of his last known.
I just hate him. I absolutely hate him already. I can't feel any sympathy for him. I don't care what his mental health is. I literally do not care. All I care about is these girls. I just cannot believe he's done this.
Appearance. The Washington man is wanted on suspicion of murder after failing to return his 3 daughters, ages 9, 8, and 5, to their mother following a planned visit, according to police. The girls were found dead near a campground in central Washington state, and Decker's abandoned truck was nearby.
So, as far as I'm concerned, I think he must be nearby. I think he must be nearby because his truck, he abandoned his truck. So, where's he gone without his truck? I'm not sure why this is playing. Where has he gone without his truck? So unless he's in there, but I think he may have done something to himself. It's funny, there were bloody handprints when, from what we can see, when he killed the girls, he did not use, let's just watch that one more time.
Doorbell camera video shows Travis Decker, the father suspected of killing his 3 young daughters, days before they were reported missing. The Chelan County Sheriff's Office released the footage as part of their search for Decker, a 32-year-old former Army soldier who they say is well-versed in wilderness survival. Police say they believe this is the most recent image of his last known appearance. The Washington man is wanted on suspicion of murder after failing to return his 3 daughters, ages 9, 8, and 5, to their mother following a planned visit, according to police. The girls were found dead near a campground in central Washington state, and Decker's abandoned truck was nearby.
So, So, where is he? At the end of the day, where is he? Can't save these girls now, but he needs to be found. He needs to be found. So it says, yeah, he's well versed in wilderness survival, capable of spending days or even weeks in the wilderness on his own with no equipment. A former US Army infantryman and staff sergeant with 8 years of service, including 5 months in Afghanistan, according to a US Army spokesperson. He is a member of the Washington National Guard, but he is in the midst of a disciplinary process of being discharged because of missed drills, the National Guard confirmed to CNN. So as the manhunt continues, the Sheriff's Office has advised residents in neighbouring counties to lock their doors, including outbuildings and sheds, and leave their outdoor lights on and their blinds open. Travis Decker was experiencing homelessness, living in his car. I mean, veterans should never be homeless. Nobody should be homeless, in my opinion, but especially veterans. You know, homelessness is a terrible thing. So he was living in his car, motels, or camping locally, his ex-wife told the police. His dog and daughters are the two big positives in his life. Has he got his dog with him? I hope. Oh my God. Hope the dog's okay as well. Oh dear me. He was very active with their extracurricular activities, their dance, their soccer games, all of those things. He was very involved, Kozart said. So this is an undated photo provided by the Wenatchee Police Department. And I was smiling on that. I don't know if that's a mugshot photo or what it is. So there were concerns. Whitney told police that near the end of their marriage, her ex-husband was diagnosed with borderline personality disorder, and she did not think he was taking his medication, according to the police affidavit. Well, how was he able to have the children every second weekend then, if he had these problems? You know, vulnerable children. In September 2024, so just last September, a judge granted Whitney and Decker a parenting plan with limitations. Oh, God. After an incident in which Decker kept the girls overnight at a homeless shelter and allowed them to go to a corner store unsupervised. But he was still allowed to have them, whatever. The new parenting plan included a psychiatric evaluation for Travis Decker, mandatory mental health counselling, and a domestic violence evaluation. He was permitted to see the children every other weekend. Honestly, God, it just gets worse. So he had displayed some volatile behaviours that seemed concerning towards Whitney, but never towards the girls. Well, you know, he's done this to hurt Whitney, isn't it? This is what people do all the time. To hurt, if they want to hurt someone and they can't get to that person, they'll hurt the children instead, because that's punishment. It happens quite often, unfortunately. His ex-wife believes the tragedy may have been prevented if Travis Decker had better access to mental health support as a veteran. I think that's probably likely, pointing to well-documented barriers to accessing adequate resources for veterans struggling with issues, including post-traumatic disorder. There you go, PTSD. Doesn't save those girls, though, does it? So Central WA Veterans Counselling, a local agency serving veterans, believes that if Travis Decker had sought their help, he would have been redirected elsewhere or placed on a wait list due to a lack of funding. And mental health is not valued anywhere, is it? But mental health is as deadly, if not more so, than cancer, I think. You know, and it's dangerous to the person themselves, but also to other people. how many people do murder due supposedly to mental health issues. And then you've got the other lot of people who claim mental health issues. This isn't a hidden crisis. We've been vocal about it in the media and with local, state, and federal officials, the group said in a statement. So it's like those girls were just packed off like to die. That's how it feels to me. They're like sent off with a wolf, who was going to murder them, and they were sent off with them, packed off for every second weekend, living in that danger. And then the worst thing happened. So it's unclear whether Travis was seeking help for the mental health issues outlined in the police report. CNN has reached out to the US Department of Veterans Affairs for information. And the flag at the Chelan County Courthouse now flies at half staff in memory of Olivia, Evelyn, and Paityn. Well, that's not going to help, is it? The killings of the three sisters, remembered by loved ones in their community as beacons of light and joy, have deeply impacted Wenatchee and touched the hearts of parents across the country. Whitney is living every mother's worst nightmare. The hole in her heart is immeasurable. There are no words that can capture the weight of this loss. Right now, she's surrounded by friends, family, and neighbours, doing everything they can to hold her up. A friend of hers said in a statement released through Cozart, she remembered Olivia, Paityn, and Evelyn as performers and dancers, and she said their laughter, curiosity, and spirit left a mark on all of us. They were the kind of children everyone rooted for, looked forward to seeing, and held close in their hearts. They are cherished, not just by their family, but by an entire community who watch them grow, perform, learn, and love. We ache with the love we still carry for them, and we always will. So this is Olivia and Evelyn. Olivia on the left and Evelyn on the right. Oh my God, a GoFundMe launched has raised more than $1.1 million to support Whitney through the loss. Crikey, $1.1 million. But how can that, what won't make it, it means you won't have any money worries. But for God's sake, we are heartbroken by the loss of three of our shining stars from the short Shakespearean's family, the Music Theatre of Wenatchee said in a statement. Their joy, creativity and spirit lit up our stage and our hearts. Though their time with us was far too short, their impact will forever be part of our story. May their light continue to shine in every performance we give. We carry them with us always. The three sisters attended Lincoln Elementary School in the Wenatchee School District. My heart and the hearts of the entire Wenatchee School District leadership remain with the Decker family, the Lincoln Elementary community, and all who knew and loved these precious girls. District Superintendent Corey Callahar said in a statement, every school, every classroom, and every family within our district may be touched by this tragedy in some way. As the community grieves, no sorrow runs deeper than Whitney's, a mother devastated by unimaginable loss, yet determined to ensure her daughters are known for the light, laughter and love they brought into the world. The girls were amazing little humans, Cozart said. I know Whitney wants the world to remember them that way. Oh, gosh. Now let's have a look at this GoFundMe. As you know, I'm not a lover of GoFundMes, but just, oh my God, it's a lot of money that's been raised. I just don't see how this mother can recover from this. I really do not. She's got to face the funerals now of these three girls. And of course, she doesn't know yet what's happened to the father, and is he coming after her? Good God. Anyway, there's Whitney with the three girls. This fundraiser is to support Whitney Decker with expenses and legal costs following the tragic loss of her three daughters, Paityn, Evelyn and Olivia. On May the 30th, the girls were reported missing after a scheduled visitation with their father. We are heartbroken to share that the girls have since passed. Their light touched so many, and the pain of this loss is immeasurable. I've known Whitney for years. We're both dance mums and theatre friends. We originally met through Short Shakespeareans, where I serve as the music director, and I had the privilege of teaching Whitney's girls over the past few years. We've spent this year as dance mums together, with my daughter Maisie and Whitney's daughter Evelyn, both performing on the Fabulous Feet Dance Rockstars team. Funds raised will go directly to Whitney to help cover final expenses, support time off from work. Oh my God, you'd never be going back to work, would you? You just how could, well, maybe you'd want to go back to work to just take your mind off everything eventually. What's she going to do with her life? Give her space to heal without financial pressure. That's it. So at least with the GoFundMe, if she doesn't want to go to work, she doesn't have to. And if she wants to go to work, she still can. In light of the overwhelming response, I want to clarify this is the only official GoFundMe fundraiser approved by Whitney and created with her full knowledge and consent. All donations made here will go directly to Whitney to support her needs during this time. There is no set goal. Anything you're able to contribute is deeply appreciated. Please respect Whitney's privacy at this time. She's not open to media contact, and future updates from her or her family will be shared here. Thank you for keeping Whitney and the girls in your hearts. Let's have a look at the photos. Oh, look at that. I mean, I just don't understand how he could do it. I don't care what his bloody mental health was. How could you look these little girls in the face and do that to them? Just don't understand it. Oh, terrible. So it reminds me quite a lot of Chris Watts. I know Chris Watts was completely different situation because he had a woman in tow, didn't he? And he did it, for that really, because he wanted a different life. But just the callousness that a father could, look his daughters in the eye practically and then kill them, that he was probably their hero, just like in the Chris Watts case, the girls, they thought of Chris Watts as their hero, their daddy. And I expect this was exactly the same. And he looked them in the face and murdered them. So just unbelievable, isn't it? Let's have a look at this, see if there's anything in this. I mean, I think we've probably covered it, yeah. So at the end of the day, yeah, because I have followers I know all over, if you're in that area, if you see him, you're not to approach him, should not be approached, of course. But if you feel like you may have seen them or you know anything about it, do not contact him or approach him, but contact 911 immediately. Oh, it's some more pictures of them. I like seeing the pictures of them because they look so, look happy and smiley, and I hope, you know, I just hope that the short life they had was a nice one. So Olivia Decker, 5, had blonde hair and brown eyes. Evelyn Decker, 8, had blonde hair and brown eyes. They all had brown hair and, blonde hair. Sorry. They all had brown eyes, but Paityn had brown hair, so she was the darker one, this one. Yeah. Okay. I don't know if I shared the fundraise, but anyway, it doesn't matter. I read it out to you. I don't have to read it out again, I don't think. Let's see if there's anything else. Read that. Let's have a look at this press conference. I'm going to find it. Sorry. Got to put some windows down as always. Too many windows. Got a couple of videos. Let's have a look at this one. See this one first.
Fox 13's Alejandro Guzman is joining us live from Wenatchee. Ali, investigators say he could be hiding anywhere.
Sorry, just let me go back to the beginning with it.
That's right. As you guys mentioned, this manhunt is still ongoing tonight. Specifically, we're focusing on some of the challenges officials are currently facing because, as you guys mentioned, Sheriff Morrison is saying that Decker
developing news after reports of sightings of Travis Decker, the man you see here. He is wanted for killing 3 of his own daughters. Investigators say that those original sightings that we were hearing about earlier in the day weren't Decker after all. Now, all that news comes after talk of him being spotted in both Idaho and in the Wenatchee area.
But we are getting new ring camera video from the Chelan County Sheriff's Office showing Decker from the days leading up to his visitation with his daughters. It's giving us a better visual of Decker and his current appearance. You can see he has a ponytail in this ring video that you're seeing right there leaning into the shot.
We also have some new images showing his appearance from the days leading up to his visitation. The Sheriff's Office says they gathered new information about him as well. The big takeaways here: Decker is well-versed in wilderness survival and capable of spending days or even weeks in the woods with little equipment.
Yeah, so it seems like this sort of Rambo character, but without the goodness. But yeah, as I say, looking at these images, you know, you could feel that you'd see you know, if you're out and about, you see loads of people that look, just loads of men that look like that. But having said that, I suppose the t-shirts, it's funny because is this the same t-shirts? They've both got the LAC on them, but that one looks like this one looks yellow and that looks like a different colour. Looks like he's got his hair in a ponytail on that one, whereas his hair is loose there. But in fact, even just those 2 pictures could be 2 different people, couldn't they?
Good evening, and thanks for joining us for Fox 13 News at 9. I'm Matthew Smith.
And I'm Sabir Rayford. Fox 13's Alejandro Guzman is joining us live from Wenatchee. Ali, investigators say he could be hiding anywhere.
That's right. As you guys mentioned, this manhunt is still ongoing tonight. Specifically, we're focusing on some of the challenges officials are currently facing because, as you guys mentioned, Sheriff Morrison is saying that Decker is essentially a survivalist who could essentially live out off the grid for months on end if that were the case. He said he spoke to his father, who told him that this is a hobby that he cultivated his entire life, but yet he remains optimistic tonight that the father will be brought to justice for his actions.
Clearly, this is not the outcome we wanted to see.
As the search for Travis Decker continues in Chelan County.
Gosh, a hobby. So like survivalism is like a hobby for him.
County, the community of Wenatchee is remembering the young lives of Paityn, Olivia, and Evelyn.
It's not the decision of a sound mind, and these young girls were a victim.
Chelan County Sheriff Mike Morrison is confident Travis Decker will be found despite his ability to survive outdoors for months at a time. A hobby Decker's father says he cultivated as a young boy.
So we understand that that's a possibility, that he could have scoped out this area before, put supplies out there, and has the ability and the knowledge to survive for a long period of time.
Decker has about a 3-day head start. Morrison says U.S. Marshals have tracked down leads, giving them an insight into Decker's mindset. In the meantime, helicopters have been expanding their search after Morrison says they spotted a shirt in Icicle Creek. A swift water rescue team was also brought in to comb through the 8-mile stretch body of water.
But at this time, we have not found Travis. My message is still the same. Travis, if you're out there seeing us, we'd like you to turn yourself in. We want a peaceful resolution to this.
Many communities gathered once again in honor of these 3 little girls, lighting candles and sharing silent prayers. A $20,000 reward for any information that leads to...
I mean, where's the dog? You know, as far as I know, I'm sort of obsessing about the dog. I'd like to know what those bloody handprints were. But only, the police haven't found the body of the dog, so I suppose that's a good sign in itself. Has he gone with his dog? I mean, I don't know if he has got his dog with him.
To Decker's arrest still stands. Sheriff Morrison tells me that he even heard of sightings as far away as Texas, and he says that while their search does continue here on the ground, they are relying on this multi-agency and, of course, out-of-state agencies to help them prove the validity of these sightings. But, of course, they're encouraging everyone to only call 911 if you do encounter Decker on a one-on-one basis, never if it's a rumor or online chatter. But again, you're encouraged not to approach him. Instead, call 911 immediately. As for what's next in this case, we do know that the autopsy results of these 3 little girls will be released tomorrow, which Sheriff Morrison expects that will paint a clear timeline of what really happened. Of course, we're going to stay on top of that and bring you the latest. For now, we're live in Wenatchee. I'm going to...
Hey, poor little girl's having to go through an autopsy as well. You know, that's not very nice to the mum, for the mum to think about, is it? You know, like, anyway, let's see this, maybe this press conference. But this is probably what the police said.
This is breaking news.
Fox 13 is following breaking news. The manhunt continues for the Wenatchee man wanted for the murder of his 3 daughters. Thank you for joining us for the news at 6. I'm Sabir Rayford.
And I'm David Rose. This tragedy has rocked the Wenatchee community and the entire state. The Chelan County Sheriff is set to hold a news conference updating the manhunt for Travis Decker. Fox 13's Alejandro Guzman standing by on the Chelan County Courthouse steps, waiting for it to begin. Ali, I heard there was word today of a possible sighting of Decker. What do you know about that?
Yeah, David, actually, I'm trying to tune into you and to hear exactly what is happening behind me, because as you just mentioned, this press conference is about to get underway. We're hearing some of the ground.
So those sightings, as they said earlier, they were not him.
Rules, but there was a lot unfolding, starting with a possible sighting for Travis Decker out of Idaho, specifically reported by the McCall Police Department. We know that this is just a reported sighting. Again, we're hearing from officials right now, but they're just setting up some of those ground rules. I do want to re-emphasize that that was only a possible sighting. We're anticipating to hear more a little bit about what's been going on. I can also tell you that there is more pictures. There's even a new ring video that has since been put out by the Chelan County Sheriff's Office, and here is where we're going to hear from the sheriff. Let's tune in now.
Distributing with microphones here. We appreciate everyone coming out. We don't have as much information to provide today, but we have been working tirelessly throughout the day with our federal resources, state resources, neighboring agencies. As always, I'd like to start off just by recognizing the Decker family, let them know they're still very much in our thoughts and our prayers. We've been working hard. Paityn, Evelyn, and Olivia are clearly a motivating force for us. A lot of our guys are working with sleep deprivation, but their thoughts are always on the girls and making sure that we're staying motivated and getting the results the family expects out of us. So, as we mentioned before, not much to go off of. We have been following leads thanks to the FBI and their analysis team that has been going out, processing social media leads throughout the nation, not just here locally. Following up those leads, we've been assigning detectives, marshal services, representatives to go out and do interviews. We also appreciate the nation police departments. We had one in McCall, Idaho today, was doing follow-ups for us. So we're not just keeping our focus here within Chelan County. We're also focusing nationwide on other leads that are coming out. Again, thank you to those police departments, sheriff, sheriff's offices, state agencies across the nation that have stepped up to assist us and giving us the additional resources that we desperately need. Clearly, this is not the outcome we wanted to see. We were hoping that we could find Travis today, but we are feeling optimistic thanks to our Marshals Department that has come through and tracked down some good leads that we feel are giving us more of an insight into Travis's mindset, where he may have not gone or may have gone to. And we'd also like to thank the FBI and their behavioral analysts unit that has also gone through, done an assessment of some of the interviews that we've had regarding Travis and made a determination on maybe what his thought process was, what decisions he might have made, and where he'd gone. In addition to our detectives also following through some of the financial documents, tracking areas that he had previously frequented, and we're optimistic that we will find him shortly. We'd also like to thank Spokane County Sheriff's Office for coming out, Sheriff Knowles, having their helicopter fly from 6 o'clock this morning to 11, as I understand it. At 11 o'clock, our helicopter was also on ground at the fish hatchery in Leavenworth to fly the Icicle Creek. We also deployed our swiftwater rescue team to go through there and start searching the creek in cases that Travis did enter in there. The water is running pretty quickly now thanks to the spring runoff, but we're optimistic that with our air units up in the sky, looking over the terrain, it's definitely diverse when you're talking about the amount of acreage that we're covering, that we're doing the best.
Gosh, he doesn't suffer breath, does he? He speaks very quickly, but he's very knowledgeable, obviously, about it. This is Sheriff Morrison. So, yeah, they've got their work cut out in that terrain. What do you think? Let me know what you think in comments. Do you think that Travis has done something to himself, or do you think Travis is trying to make his way over to Canada? Because he's apparently, before this all happened, he was searching ways that, how to go and live in Canada and blah, 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 blah. So was he planning this as well? That makes you think, was he planning this? Is he over the border by now? Has he descended in Canada now and become I know you can become a different person in Canada, because I had friends many years ago, a bit of waffle here, if you like, or a bit of anecdotal stuff, friends of mine, literally from when I was in my 20s, went off to Canada and created a new identity. They were fleeing from sort of domestic abuse, really, you'd say, stalky type boyfriends. They decided to go together. They literally, this is no word of a lie, they literally got on a plane. Obviously, they must have needed a visa maybe initially. Created new identities. And in fact, one of my friends, from what, as I say, this is years ago, I don't know what happened in the end because I'm not in touch with them anymore or anybody who knows them, but literally used somebody else's identity, was working in an office as a receptionist, using somebody else's social security. I don't know how she did it. I mean, I just don't know the details. And the person that she was pretending to be walked in and asked to speak to the manager or whatever, because she said, not realizing that my friend was the person using her identity on the reception. And this person said to her, I want to speak to the manager because someone's working here using my, explain to, because my friend said, what's it about, blah, blah, blah. And she said, oh, right, okay, I'll just go and get the manager for you. And she just disappeared out the back door, and that was it. She never went back to that office again. I think in the end, she married a Canadian man for residency. And then that's the last I heard. So I haven't heard anything for about 30 odd years. So I don't know what happened in the end. But it's amazing what people get up to, isn't it?
Yes, we can. We also want to thank Sheriff Myers down in Kittitas County for deploying some of his search and rescue units, checking trailheads on the backside of Chelan County to see if there's any opportunity that Travis might have made it out to that location. We have learned so far through our investigation today that he is well versed in outdoor survival. And talking with his father, it sounds at times that he would go out and would be leaving off grid for sometimes up to 2.5 months. So we also understand too that he at times would do caching. So we understand.
So he's done it for 2.5 months periods before.
That's a possibility that he could have scoped out this area before, put supplies out there, and has the ability and the knowledge to survive for a long period of time. We saw this before a couple years ago when we assisted Kittitas County with a similar case. So we are putting our resources out. We saw.
It's even worse to think that he might have planned it, isn't it? It's bad enough what he did, but if he, you think, oh God, did he just snap or whatever? But if you're thinking that he may have planned it, put provisions out there, took the girls there deliberately, knowing what he was going to do. You know, he's a piece of shit, isn't he? Basically, he's a piece of shit anyway.
Our SWAT team today out off the icicle drainage, checking residences through there, in addition to us still having units out on the ground, continuing to check, in addition to expanding out and looking at local counties. So we're going to continue to do what we need to do, partnering with our federal partners. We will again want to say thank you to the FBI, Homeland Security, that has assisted us more yesterday. Also going with the Marshal Services, the Washington State Patrol that has been working alongside of us, along with their detective units. And we've also had a forensics electronic detective going through the cell phone and other electronic items that we've collected on the scene. So we're hoping to gather more information, take that intel that we've gathered today, and continue to press on tomorrow. But at this time, we have not found Travis. My message is still the same. Travis, if you're out there seeing us, we'd like you to turn yourself in. We want a peaceful resolution to this, but we're not going to relinquish our efforts and giving up any effort that we can proceed to track you down. So please turn yourself in. Let's wrap this up and do what's right for your kids. So any questions?
Are you any closer to establishing a motive?
No, and I don't think there'd be any motive to be acceptable. I mean, clearly, it's not the decision of a sound mind, and these young girls were a victim.
Was a body discovered in this area you were searching near Leavenworth today?
They were discovered earlier this week. It was outside Leavenworth. You're more up icicle drainage around milepost 18. We're on Rock Island Campground, and we do have a map that I think we've already shared online, but it is more of a rural campground.
Was there maybe it's unrelated to the case?
Okay. No, there was another individual that was located today, not related to the case, and that was out towards the Big Y where US 2 and 97 connect, but not related to the case.
What, another individual located, but not related? Do they mean a deceased person? Just, it's amazing what you find when you're looking for other people. That quite often happens, doesn't it, in cases also when they're looking for victims, they quite often find other victims. The Suzanne Morphew case, and they were looking for the lady called Edna, who I don't think has still been found, and they found Suzanne Morphew, who'd been missing for years.
Sheriff, you mentioned McCall, Idaho. There were reports of possible sightings, or maybe it was just the fact that the department received tips. Any credibility to some of that? I know you mentioned they did some investigating. What have you learned from that?
I can tell you so far today we had a possible sighting on East Leavenworth Road. We checked that out. It was not Mr. Decker. We had another one out at milepost 83, US 2. And then, of course, we continue to hear information about other possible sightings from across the nation. As we understood, based off the information we got back, was that the sighting in McCall, Idaho was not our suspect, but we'll continue to work with our neighboring agencies, not only here in the state, but across the nation, to help us track down any leads we do get.
What kind of head start do you think he had, knowing the truck was found Monday? When do you think he started to...
Worst case scenario, we could see that he might have gotten a head start on Friday, so he would have the whole weekend to be out there. But we're still tracking it down. We will have our autopsy results. It should be coming back tomorrow, and we'll get a better idea of what kind of time frame we're looking at.
Is there any knowledge that you guys might have of him possibly making his way back to Wisconsin or police?
We're not ruling anything out. So, I mean, we have been in touch with agencies, of course, across the nation, and just tracking down leads. We are aware of other connections he has. We've interviewed friends, co-workers. We're optimistic that we can track down his location.
Sir, he left his truck behind. And did you find in that truck any writing, any note, anything that might have...
Our detectives are still going through that process. I know that we worked with the Washington State Patrol Crime Lab yesterday, in addition to our detectives, process all that information. And today, as I was leaving our emergency operations center, we did have members of the Washington State Patrol that were processing some of the cell phones we located in the vehicle.
What military training does he have that could be a factor in his ability to elude authorities?
We do understand, and we're getting more confirmation that he might have possibly gone through mountain survival school, but we also know too that he's been an outdoorsman since he was a kid. Talking with parents, it seemed like this was something that he was attracted to, like doing in his free time. So clearly some of the knowledge he's probably acquired throughout his life.
Yeah, so he really is a true life Rambo, isn't he? You know, he is. So he's not going to be easy to find, is he?
Time, in addition to the training he might or might not have acquired through the Army, is something we're taking into consideration. But we do want to validate what trainings he's actually gone through, and we do have some U.S. Marshals tracking that down as well.
Sheriff, what is your reaction to the fact that he's been out and about, you said, for as long as 2 months? Does
that give you room for pause that he is no stranger to being out and living off the grid for so long?
Well, we're certainly an agency that learns from the past. I mean, we saw this before, I believe, around North Bend. I don't know how many years ago that was, where they had an individual who had been involved in a similar incident and then had dug himself a bunker out there. So we take that in consideration that he may be aware of our surroundings, has the ability to survive, and that's going to certainly make it more challenging, but we're up for that challenge. I mean, we recognize that 87% of our county is not accessible.
Yeah, I can't remember the name of that person, but I think I've covered that on this channel. Wasn't that guy that killed his wife and his daughter? And then he went off and hid out in a bunker, but I think he ended up unaliving himself. He was like a prepper.
By road. We've been dealing with that over the last 125-year history of this agency. So we're no stranger to that. We're aware of our terrain, and we'll continue to work with our federal partners and U.S. Forest Service that has stepped alongside of us to assist us in possibly closing down some of the trails.
Yeah, of course, nobody will be more expert than them in dealing with the terrain where they're, that they're in their jurisdiction. So it won't be their first rodeo, will it? So, yeah, they're experts too. So he might be an expert, but so are they.
In the area, in order to ensure, of course, that the environment stays safe for anyone who may come to visit, but that we also have access to go through there and start checking all the trails and locations that we believe he may recreate.
Sheriff, the longer this goes on, what concerns do you have about, you talk about the fight or flight mentality and when desperation kicks in. Obviously there's that survival skills element of it, but the longer it goes on, I mean, we've seen where things often go. Do you have concerns for whether it be those who are out looking for him, just kind of where this could all come together and that mentality someone may have when desperation mode kicks in?
We understand the mentality we're dealing with. We have a well-trained agency. We're a leader when it comes to de-escalation here in Washington State. We were one of the original agencies for that training hub, so we understand that we have the ability to control the pace of situations. We have behavioral health units. We have the ability to communicate with them. We're going to continue to do that, but our primary goal is to track him down. Of course, we want to make sure that he's safe, but ultimately he will be brought to justice. The amount of partners that have come alongside us. I mean, again, I've cited the U.S. Marshal Service, the FBI. We've had Homeland Security investigations. We've had Border Patrol's tracking team here. We've had Douglas County, East Wenatchee. The amount of resources that we put on this right away gives me confidence that we are doing everything possible, in addition to working with the behavioral analyst team and also bringing cadaver dogs. We're open to anything and everything, and so far, despite our limited resources, it's part of our mission statement with the resources entrusted to us, I think that a lot of people have come alongside us to help us out. That's why I'm optimistic. So we're not...
Always comes down to resources, doesn't it? I mean, all the resource, what this man is doing, not only he's done this awful thing, of killing his daughters, and now he's just like creating havoc, like, he is a bit of a piece of shit, really, isn't he?
Doing it alone.
You said that you've been in contact with his father. What has that interaction been like with his immediate loved ones? What are they telling you about their reaction to this event? How are they handling it?
They're frustrated with the situation, clearly, but this is their son. So, of course, that they have concerns about his safety. But overall, they understand that he does have to be brought in and he has to be held accountable for his actions.
One more question, please. One more question.
Sheriff, I just wanted to clarify. I mean, you said that with this...
Yeah, awful for his parents, because they've lost their grandchildren and their son. How selfish this man is, really, just thinking about himself. Sorry, I don't care about mental issues. Think about other people, for God's sake. I've got no sympathy for this guy at all. Just cannot believe he could look those little girls in the face and kill them. And he deserves, eternal torture, to be honest, in my opinion. But yeah, I hope he is alive, and I hope he is brought and he's forced to go to prison for the rest of his life. And I hope he sees those little girls' faces every time he closes his eyes.
Survival skills coming to light here. How does that change moving forward as we get further and further into this investigation? Your guys' search for this?
Well, we understand that he can cover a lot of ground. I mean, certainly, based off what I know from him, he's in decent shape, and he has the ability to go out there, which, if anyone's been out in that part of the county, it's thick, so it's going to make it more challenging for us to locate him, and especially if he's knowledgeable and he knows how to conceal himself. That will make a unique challenge for us, but we feel pretty confident in bringing members of Border Patrol in too, with their experience of working in more diverse terrain, especially along our Canadian border. We have people who are experts in that field as well, and also excel and have the military training as well. I mean, we recognize he's not a subject matter expert. I'm not going to glorify him in that sense. I do appreciate his service, but overall, we have other men and women who are assisting us who are also military veterans and have that kind of background and experience. And I would certainly point out our Forest Service deputy that was able to immediately locate it as soon as we got information about a general area where he's at. We're up for that challenge.
Yeah, just because he's got military service and how many people go through PTSD and go through terrible things, veterans. They don't murder their 3 children though, do they?
So, thank you.
Okay, for our media partners, I do have a contact sheet that I'd like to have completed. That way we can easily follow up with each of our media partners. So at the conclusion of this, you can find me if you haven't already signed it.
So you've been listening to an update in Chelan County for the search for the father accused of murdering his 3 young daughters. They've had some sightings today. We showed you some pictures there. There's been a lot of information. There are some tips coming in, but still no firm information on exactly where he is right now.
So let's head back out to Alejandro Guzman, who's been following this story, to give us a recap of what we've just learned. And Ali, it seems like there's a huge focus on his ability to cover a lot of ground in the wilderness.
That's right, Sabir and David. I mean, we've been talking about this since we first learned and started digging deeper into who Travis Decker really is. I mean, he's a 32-year-old father who has now committed, according to police, this terrible tragedy. I mean, when looking into his background, I learned that he was actually a sergeant with the Washington National Guard, something we first told you about. His training, his extensive military training is something that they've been focused on now, as you're hearing today. Well, he could potentially survive out in the wilderness for 2.5 months, because this is something that he
fancy using all that military training instead of using it for something good, using it to murder your daughters and go on the run.
Has been doing ever since he was a child, according to the sheriff who spoke with his dad. He's enjoyed these activities, so he knows exactly what he's doing. That makes this situation even much more complex. I mean, we're hearing about how diverse the terrain here in Chelan County really is. I mean, I went up to Icicle Creek yesterday, and I can tell you it was a 30-minute drive just to get up to the campgrounds, which
I think the name gives you a clue, doesn't it? When your place is called Icicle Creek, it gives you a clue that it's probably not a place that you might want to be, really. It's going to be like off in the wilderness or something, and very cold at times. That's why it's called Icicle Creek.
Were closed. There was still a lot of people recreating out there, which, as you guys heard, is a threat to the community, which is why today I believe we saw that those barricades have gone further and further out into the community, because that is the whole situation here, that officials want to make sure that the community is safe. They are expanding, as you heard, this ongoing search. It's all hands on deck at this point. We're talking FBI, U.S. Marshals, Chelan County, the Wenatchee Police Department. Everyone is coming together. Earlier, if you guys have been tuning into social media, there's been a lot of comments regarding what the community is doing. I can tell you that being here today, it is a really somber feeling. We're here on the steps of the courthouse listening to the sheriff, but right across is that memorial for the vigil that was held yesterday. There's bouquets, flowers, candles, teddy bears that I can see from just standing here, and it is truly devastating for this entire community. And what has this community done? Not only raised hundreds of thousands of dollars for the family to lay these little girls to rest, but they're also pouring out their...
Yeah, one man caused all this trauma. Not only murdered his daughters, but traumatized the whole community, his ex-wife, his own parents. The police are pulling out the stops. They've had to find those girls' bodies. One man caused all that. You know, this guy's going to hell, isn't he? Going to hell in the handcart. You know, he needs to try and redeem himself. If he cares about his mortal soul, he needs to do something to try and redeem himself. It's just causing hurt. It's not, just because you're hurt. Maybe he did have these, he's got PTSD or mental health issues, blah, 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 blah. That's not a reason to cause the same trauma to other people. So, for the trauma now that he's caused to other people, besides his 3 daughters that he's murdered and taken their lives away, he's had this massive effect on lots of people, not in a good way.
Parts and trying to support officials here. We're talking about offering them horseback rides and other vehicles to try and get into the backcountry. But at this point, they want to limit that search to the official capabilities. I mean, when you're talking 2 months out being in this terrain, as you guys heard Sheriff Morrison say, that Decker might potentially have a huge head start, if we want to put it that way. We're talking about this man being out there since Friday. Those 3 little girls were found Monday. So we're talking quite some time. And as you guys mentioned, as you guys heard the sheriff mention, he's been in communication with his father. I was also able to hear that his brother has been estranged for some time. He is back from Pewaukee, Wisconsin. So there is a lot to unpack, a lot to unfold here, a lot that we're still continuing to learn. And we know that you guys are anxiously trying to share as much as you guys possibly can on social media to try and spread the word out. But again, make sure that you're only reporting first-person sightings. That is a big takeaway here today. So I'm going to send it.
Yeah, because they don't, there'll be loads of people, won't they, who'll say they've seen him. And I'd say it's quite a generic look to him. It's not, be easy to see someone and think, oh, that's him, but so yeah, they're saying don't report rumours. But of course, it's difficult, isn't it? Because how do you tell? But so yes, they're saying only report first-person sightings. So in other words, if it's only you, if it's you who's seen them, not that someone said, oh, I think I saw him like yesterday or whatever. But very difficult. I don't think he's going to be seen anywhere in civilization anyway. I still have a feeling that maybe he's taken himself away from this world, but I just don't know what those bloody handprints were on his truck. What has he done? He could be sort of really quite close by. It'd be easy to miss somebody, wouldn't it?
And back to you guys in the studio as we continue to learn more about this ongoing case and, of course, bring you the latest tonight at 9 and 10.
So that's where we are, basically. Maybe today we'll bring, because it's just morning time now, isn't it, in America? So maybe today we'll bring some news that they found this guy. But ultimately, at the end of the day, the thing that it won't change is that these little angels are no longer with us. Let's have one more look at the video that the mum Whitney has released.
Decker. Nice.
You can't stop halfway, Abby.
There we go, Abby. Nice. Olivia. Okay, bringing it down. Oh, bringing it up. Bringing it down. Abby, can you check to make sure I'm doing the video right? Oh, okay, Abby's next. Paityn, can you make sure the video's on? Please check. Yes. Whoa.
Kind of, but you were really close.
Okay. I'll see you really soon in the next video. And, not much positive is there to come out of this, but anyway, I'll see you really soon in the next video. Take care of yourself. Look after your mental health, and if you know people who need help with their mental health, try and, help them. I know it's difficult. I know that for a fact. And sometimes people with mental health issues, they won't be helped, will they? Or they stop taking the medication, or you know, and then they can just sort of break one day that looks like this guy's done. Or did he plan it? You know, this is what I'm thinking now. Has he planned this? That's even worse, isn't it? You know, has he been planning it and just thinking he's taking these girls away from their mum, or he's taken them off to the next world, and then has he done something to himself thinking he's going to meet them there? Well, you won't be meeting these girls, Travis. I think you'll be going to a completely different place to where these girls have gone. Anyway, I'll see you really soon in the next video. And until then, as always, may your God go with you. Bye.